Okay, I'm gonna try to make this somewhat quick. Yeah, we'll try to make this somewhat quick. But where have I been? So I did train through meet back in January, and I ripped my thumb a couple weeks out from that. Pulled mixed grip at the meet, tweaked something in my back, not really sure what, and was just dealing with a lot of pain for months and months. 6 or 7 months, I think. And after about that 6-7 months, I saw a bunch of people trying to figure it out, because plan was still to compete at nationals, but we couldn't figure it out. Nothing really worked. So then saw another guy in June, July, something like that, and we basically said there's a bunch of nerve pain, residual nerve stuff going on. So it got so bad that I tried to pull 375 pounds, which is like 50% of my max, and was in so much pain that I don't even think I locked out the rep and couldn't breathe because of all the nerve pain protecting the area. Because of that, we went into like a full rehab protocol type deal, where no real SPD. I think I did pretty heavy pretty long tempo pause, high bar, some dumbbell RDLs, and then it was pretty much just like machines and light bench after that, or on top of that. So no real squats, no real deadlifts, still benched, but it was pretty light. It was mainly machines. In that time period, I also bulked up to 240, roughly just under that. I'm 243 at the moment. We are doing a pretty aggressive bulk till the end of this year, and then we will cut back down to about this 240 range. So we're right in that water cut range, I guess, for nationals come end of May. I don't have an exact date on that yet, but that being said, we're back. Some last spring semester also just got kind of crazy, so didn't have a ton of time. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to make this as sustainable as possible. Don't really know how I'm gonna do that yet, but we'll figure it out. And I think this might change, but I think I'm gonna try to post videos Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. So like the Tuesday video will probably have just Monday, might have some Sunday stuff, kind of depends on how Sunday goes, everything like that. That's Tuesday's video. Thursday we'll probably have Tuesday, Wednesday lifting in there, and then Sunday we'll probably have Thursday, maybe some Friday, and then some Saturday as well. So if I had to guess, probably Sunday will be the long video, but we'll see. I also might not throw in much Friday stuff because it's just accessories, but if I do mic'd up or anything, like, I'll figure it out, right? But I think that's going to be somewhat sustainable. I'm just going to film in the whatever color. I'm not going to do any of the fancy color correcting stuff. Just going to take stuff from the camera, put it in, trim it down, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, we're going to try to keep this as sustainable as possible, as easy as possible, and yeah, so that's just kind of a little bit where I've been these last couple months, but we're getting back into things. I think it's week 1 now of, I guess, my second block powerlifting. I don't even know if you'd consider it powerlifting. I'm doing beltless, sleeveless squats, no wrist wrap on bench, no crazy arches either. Um, I am, belting, putting belt on for deadlift. This will be my first block pulling sumo as well. So some changes, but we're stronger. We have a lot more muscle mass, and you know it'll be good. Moving forwards, and what'll also be good is trying to push the hypertrophy a little bit more over these month, 2.5 months, something like that. My computer's over there, so I was checking the date. But if I push the hypertrophy a little bit more over the next 2.5 months, it'll limit the load a little bit. We'll put on more muscle mass, and everything will be great going into 2026, which is my last year as a junior, which is kind of the whole reasoning behind that. Bulking more weight, whether that's moving more weight to get stronger or just being able to put on more muscle mass because I'm in a surplus consistently, should yield more muscle mass, more strength. More size doesn't equal more strength, but more size yields a higher potential for strength, which is the whole thing, the whole point, right? So that's kind of the whole thought process. We'll see how that goes, but it seems to be working pretty good so far. I think that's pretty much it in terms of where I've been. Schedule just got busy. Wasn't really filming as much simply because of my back injury and the rehab protocol I guess I was in to try to fix that. Everything was kind of boring. I was enjoying it, but it wasn't really anything too exciting. And I was just kind of going through the motions a little bit, so didn't really document anything. But now we're back. We're doing a little bit more normal stuff, and we're gonna try to do this thing again. I don't know how it's gonna work. I might, add some different things, do whatever just to keep it interesting, but we'll deal with that when things come up. Like, there might be something fun that's going on that I can show you guys, but we'll just deal with that as things come up. And I think right now we'll just try to find a sustainable way to do this, and I think that Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule will be the most sustainable for this. So I'm gonna go eat lunch. I got another class and work, and then we'll head to the gym. Today will be a later session, and yeah, we got high bar squat and some volume bench 3x5. It's week 1. Nothing too crazy, or shouldn't be anything too crazy, but we'll obviously wait and see because we are feeling pretty strong. Everything has been load capped, so I've been just given loads for the last block. This block is more RPE, or I think it's all RPE pretty much, so it's very possible that we will load something somewhat heavy compared to what we were doing last block, but it will still be at that RPE range. So I'm gonna go eat some lunch and go to my class, go to work, do all that stuff, and then we'll be back for training. Okay, and we get kicked off with our high bar 6s today. This is our third set of 6 in a somewhat ascending format. We had a set of 6 with 170 kilos, 374 pounds, then a set of 6 with 180, 396 pound, and a second set with 180 kilos. Unfortunately, I only have this last video, which is fine, and these moved just great, so not too concerned about that. Slightly apprehensive coming into the hole. I took a little bit of a longer rest, so unintentionally, but we were a little bit cold moving into these, which is somewhat expected, but then we started to re-warm up by the end, and these things finished up just great. So I believe this is the last rep, and yeah, no real issues there. Good week one. Then we'll move on to bench, just starting with a bar, trying to get loose, get some blood in the triceps and elbows and everything like that. So you see me start with these 2-finger on the smooth. I don't know why I look so goofy doing those, but that's okay. We'll move our hands out just to our normal grip and kind of do like a guillotine stretch type thing. Don't really know what you would call it. Let the pecs warm up or loosen up more accurately, and we'll throw on a red. I move through these warm-ups pretty quick, so we'll just do one clip because I go bar, 1 red, 2 red pretty much instantly. So we'll get the second plate on, or I guess plate on the other side, and we'll move right in. Did tighten up my shoes just a little bit so we could plant properly, and we'll just use our comp grip for this. And I mean, this is going to be pretty light, but we're going to warm up to sets of 5. I have 3 sets of 5, RP 7. The goal was like 140 to 145 kilos, but we'll get to that momentarily. So we're going to throw in the second red. Same thing, we'll just do, I think I only do a couple reps. I might only do 1. We'll see. But everything moved great. Bench is feeling really, really strong. So we'll just shut our mouth and let you guys watch. So 2 reps, pretty easy. Our next warm-up will be 140. This was the low end for what we're expecting today. It moved really, really well, so we jumped up to the 145, which you guys will see after this. But this moved really, really well. Felt really, really easy, which is great. And I believe I only did 3 reps. Yeah, super easy. Definitely wanted to go up after this, so we went up to 145. This is 319 pounds. This will be our first set of 5. So this also moved really, really good. Probably could have gone a little bit heavier, but it's week 1, so I'm not super concerned with pushing weight too much. We'll do that, in a couple weeks. So yeah, that was super easy. But I believe, this is our second set. 3 sets, all the same load. So this will be also 319 pounds, which this also moved really, really good. My best, 3x5 is 150. We took that week 4 or 5. We had a 5-week block, last block. So that was our week 5 weight, and we're taking 5 keys below that on week 1. So great signs. This is going to be the last set, and this one was also really, really easy. A little bit of a different camera angle. Geez, I wish I could talk. But as you guys can see, super, super easy. And once this finishes up, I will turn myself over to mid-training Evan, because I did a little bit of a yapping spiel thing. So I'm going to turn that over, and then we'll probably return for the voiceover. We're going to have a little chat. So, that was 145 kilos, 319 pounds. Not super impressive for, 3 sets of 5, but whatever. You would think somebody who benches 400 pounds, and my PR is 407, so not into the 400s, but 400. You would think that would be easy. Maybe I'd be able to do more weight. First off, it's week 1, whatever, right? But, I've been dealing with an injury, which, talked about earlier in the video, as like an intro thing, like where I've been, whatever. So you guys already know that, but I took 12 weeks off of powerlifting, really. Didn't really touch anything super heavy. Like 315, 330 was kind of the most I was touching for like a single. But in that time period, I put on 20 pounds. 20 pounds of good tissue too, not, 20 pounds of fat. So, why, this is a huge win. Why? Well, first off, my best set of 5, or 6, I think, is 155, maybe 160. That was a singular set. That was a week 4. My best 3x5 is 150. Did that last block, and this was 5 kilos below that for a relatively easy 3x5 on a week 1. So that right there, huge win. But there's still the fact that 400-pound bencher, right? 3x5, yes, it's more volume. Yes, it's whatever. But even my singles aren't 400 pounds. I think my heaviest single, which was last block, was 375. And it's like, okay, well, and that was like a 9. So what's going on here, right? Well, I put on 20 pounds, which very, very good, right? Lots of tissue there, right? Everybody says I just look a lot bigger, which I do agree with. And something that a lot of new lifters need to realize, and I'm not gonna try to be one of those guys that's like trying to teach new powerlifters. There's enough people doing the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of powerlifting and trying to get clout off of that. That's not me. I don't want to do that. We'll leave that to them. But one thing that new lifters need to realize is size, although it doesn't equal strength, it's a higher potential for strength. And while I wasn't powerlifting during those 12 weeks, I was still pushing heavy on my accessories or whatever movements I was doing. And I also put on a lot of muscle mass. So I don't have the same arch that I did before. I'm not using wrist straps. It's a week 1, and my bench is stronger in terms of the rep work, and I feel like I just have more pressing power than I did before I got injured. And so now that I'm, starting to get back into the powerlifting stuff a little bit, or at least more than I was, once I get readapted to that stimulus, I will be significantly stronger, right? I just took, we'll call it 12 weeks. I think if you include last block, which was like kind of an intro to powerlifting, if you will, which we still aren't using a belt on squat. We're reintroducing that on back-offs. No knee sleeves, no wrist wraps. The only thing that I'm using in terms of equipment is a belt on deadlift, because that is relatively heavy. And we were pushing it somewhat heavier than the other two. And by other two, I mean squat and bench. So what I need to realize, or I've realized this, what a lot of new lifters need to realize is the person that, the lifter that I was 12, 16 weeks ago, whatever you want to call it, had a very different relationship with these kind of loads. 320 would have felt like air, would have felt like nothing, right? Even I squatted 400 pounds today, and that would have felt like nothing on my back. Now, I've squatted that a couple times now, and it is high bar, but that being said, and it's starting to feel lighter, but that being said, I would have never, even thought that would have been heavy, especially given low bar. So the relationship that I have now with 400 pounds, low 300 pounds on bench, is very different than the relationship that I had 12, 16 weeks ago. But I'm bigger. I have more muscle mass. Once I get readapted to that stimulus, I'm going to be significantly stronger than I was before. So, yeah, maybe I'm only pressing 320 right now for a set of 5. But once I get readapted to the heavier stimulus, this 320 could really turn into 350, maybe even closer to 400 for 3 sets of 5, which drastically outpaces what I was doing before. And that is the whole point. So more size doesn't equal more strength, but more size yields a higher potential for strength. And if you are in a situation where you are injured or you were injured, the biggest thing that you can do is realize that your body is not adapted to the powerlifting stimulus, especially if you took any reasonable amount of time off. But that being said, especially if you're heavier, especially if you have more muscle mass, the relationship that you have with that weight is going to be significantly different. And if you put on a lot of weight like I did, when you get readapted, you are going to be so much stronger, which I just said, that is the whole point. Because we want to be able to lift as much as humanly possible. So right now, yes, I'm not lifting as much, but I'm not adapted to the heavy stimulus. I'm moving in slightly different ranges of motion, slightly different movement patterns, less equipment, right? But I'm just as strong, or relatively close. So what does that mean once I actually start lifting the way I was lifting before, right? That type of curve, I guess, I don't know. The whole camera thing is weird, but I guess it would probably be this way, right? To the moon, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to get at. But that is enough yapping, because there are so many people doing the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, yada, 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 101s, enough acronyms. Let's move into accessories. I just got some, what do I have today? I just got some dumbbell bench, feet up, and lat pull down. It is late, so I'm gonna probably speed run these. It is week 1, so keeping it somewhat light. I'll get through them, a little bit more sleep, but I do want to push them slightly hard. So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna finish this up, and yeah, we're gonna go from there. Okay, and back to the voiceover. So we're gonna do some neutral grip, not 100% neutral, but somewhat tucked, which is fine. Takes a little bit of pressure off my elbow, and allows me to go a little bit heavier. So we got some dumbbell bench, and then we'll go into some single arm lat pull downs. With the back injury, we've kind of started doing these just to get a little bit more scapular movement, a little bit of stretch, and I actually really like them because I have somewhat of a lat imbalance, so this kind of lets me load up, not really load up actually, but feel a little bit of a better contraction and a unilateral contraction at that as well. So we've been really liking these, trying to push them a little bit. And this 90 pounds was pretty difficult, if I'm being honest. You'll see on the next clip that, or I guess 2 clips, because I was supersetting these. But you'll see on the next lat pull down that, like, I pretty much failed that last set. So 45s, 90 pounds total might be where I have to kind of draw the line for now. But I was supersetting these because they were my only 2 accessories, and I really like, supersetting the accessories. Makes it go a little bit quicker, and I can kind of get through things a little bit faster. So, with that being said, I'll just let you guys watch this, and that'll be it for the voiceover. Okay, I literally just ran through 3 sets in 12 minutes. Supersetted my dumbbell press with my lat pull down. I'll do that, especially if it's like opposing muscle groups like that, just because it's a little faster. And one movement doesn't really fatigue the other. Sorry, I'm slightly out of breath from that. But I only recorded 2 sets, unfortunately. I recorded the first one and the last one, and forgot to press record on the second. So that's kind of it. I gotta finish packing up this stuff, and then we'll be out of here. Just gonna go home, shower, protein shake, finish up some Fairlife, and maybe have some strawberries, and then get to bed because it's almost 11. So we want to get some sleep, and then tomorrow will be a late session as well, but we'll figure out what we want to do with this. So I'm gonna get out of here and go home, do what I need to before I have to wake up in the morning. So we'll see you guys either tomorrow or in the next video. Not quite sure yet.